Welcome to the GM Podcast, hosted by Audrey Miller and Gavin Bullock. This is a show that includes, but is not limited to, sports talk. If you enjoy, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, comment your favorite sports hot takes, as we will be doing a separate video addressing those.
All right, welcome to episode 5 of the GM Podcast. Had a crazy game last night, Colorado State. We're here to talk about that one, and also the Eagles game that happened against the Vikings Thursday night. Obviously, we're gonna start with the Colorado State game. Give me your first takeaway from what there's a whole bunch of storylines to come out of the game, but what's the first takeaway you think should be covered?
I mean, my biggest takeaway after watching the whole game is just, Shedeur Sanders is he's keeps proving and raising his draft stock. He's proven that he's that guy in college football, one of those guys, and he's just clutch. I would just say clutch performance. Dude, very resilient.
I think his poise is something that I'm gonna be real. You look at a black quarterback and you see these guys want to scramble. They're good with their legs, but this dude, he's the most poised black quarterback I have ever seen in my life. He carries a swag with him. He can still run the football as he had to do. He had to put the team on his back a little bit last night and run the ball. So we're going to have to start having conversations with him and Caleb Williams, Drake May, Bo Nix. He's in that group of guys for sure. And his poise is the most impressive thing about Shedeur Sanders right now. And I think Caleb Williams still has the edge. It's the closest thing we've seen to Mahomes. Caleb Williams looks like he has college football figured out. He can't really lose. It's not. I don't know. It's easy right now for him. But with Shedeur, and the place I want to see him at, I think that dude, if he goes to Atlanta,
that'd be scary.
That's an Atlanta fit right there. That's something that Atlanta needs right now. As far as I've seen, Desmond Ridder hasn't been doing the job for them, even though they're 2-0. They could be much better. But so from Shedeur Sanders, that's impressive. I'm gonna ask you, what you think about number 11 on Colorado State?
I'm not gonna lie, and I saw LeBron James tweet, and I completely agree with it. I know that's not targeting, but I don't understand what's the difference in severity of I think he should have been ejected. I don't think there is any, and you look at that play, and then you look at number 8 Kamara for Colorado State get ejected at the end of the game, which I still think was targeting, but it's just as severe. I think it's definitely worse. The hit on Travis Hunter, and it's I just don't. It was bad. I hate seeing it's bad hit.
Yeah, Colorado State came out. I think honestly, Colorado State outcoached Colorado, which says a lot. He got them guys fired up, ready to play. But first off, when I say outcoached, the first thing that stands out to me is the 15,000 drag routes. 14.
Yeah, they were running that shallow cross the entire night, and there was no adjustment in my opinion. No adjustment.
And they came out ready, and this is a team that I saw in the polls was a bottom 25 team in FBS. So, Colorado, great win against a rival. It's a rivalry game, so it's not supposed to be a blowout. Yeah. But in this upcoming week, I have Oregon winning that game just from what I saw last night, because it's not a game that should have been that close. Yeah. As far as that hit for me, he got to go, bro. He at least got it. The NCAA, it's an organization that has been criticized in the past for good reason. And if he doesn't get suspended for this upcoming game, there's definitely a problem, because that has no place in a game of football. You could see he locked on to Travis Hunter.
And he saw after and had no sympathy. It was like that was his intentions. I think that was his intentions to hurt him. It was bad. He
didn't look for a ball. And it would have been different if Travis Hunter was actually at where the ball was thrown. But it's I don't know if you remember, it was in the Swamp documentary too. When the dude on Florida hit the dude on Oklahoma a couple years back. It was shades of that, but the difference was when the dude on Oklahoma had the ball right here. Could have been targeting. I don't think targeting was a thing back there, but in this situation, the ball literally hits the ground about 5 yards in front of Travis, and the dude, number 11 on Colorado State, loops
over.
Around,
there was no
loops around his own player just to hit him. You sent him to the hospital, at least a game. That's a
Yeah,
Hall of
you
Fame
can't give
score
that
for
guy no.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
get
that
him
was
out of there.
bad.
Um,
But yeah, I think the biggest thing, my takeaway is like we just said, Colorado's defense. I think offensively they can compete with any team in the country.
yeah,
Like they have the weapons. The O line does not look horrible. Um, they struggled at times against that pass rush, but the O line does not look horrible. I think they definitely have the weapons, especially when Travis Hunter is healthy. I heard he might be out for a couple weeks, so
yeah.
if he's not playing against those teams that if he's not playing against USC or Oregon, then they might lose those games. But like I said, I mean, I still wouldn't count Shadur out. I wouldn't pick them, but I wouldn't just count him out if that makes sense because he's a player and he's gonna rise to the occasion. I think.
Yeah, I think also something that stood out. We have to talk about how Dion has increased the hype at Colorado just overall. I don't think there's been a hype over college football this big since Johnny Manziel. Honestly, I can't remember anything in this span, and it's ridiculous. I mean, he had people staying up at least on the East Coast till 2:30 last night
All
to
of
watch
us,
the finish of everybody did. I've never done that, by the way. I don't remember a game going to 2:30, and so that was pretty incredible just to see that hype. And everyone I talked to, they watched the game. They was excited for it. So props to Prom for bringing in that hype to that program, starting 3-0.
It's almost like everyone in the country has their college football team, and then their next team. Everyone's a Colorado fan. Everyone's cheering for him. And
Yeah,
it's
I haven't
pretty.
seen anyone. I haven't even seen anyone that's hating on him. I mean, maybe Jay
No.
Norvell for Colorado State, but that's all I've seen. And by the way, shout out to Jay Norvell for getting them dudes ready to play. I think last night it was just they got out talented. Honestly, I think he came in with a good game plan. They executed on many levels.
I don't. One thing I did not like at all is they played very aggressive the whole game, and on 4th and 1, 4th and 2, late in the game, and defensively on that last drive. Now, give props to Shadur for making that 98-yard drive in the Colorado offense, but you could see they were playing prevent, and it's almost like when they didn't go for it on that 4th down, when they were converting, they were moving the ball. It almost felt like you were playing not to lose, and I feel like in moments like that, you have to play to win.
Exactly.
And also, they could have went for 2 after their first drive. In overtime, I felt like the only coaching
that's
critiques
also
I would have.
Yeah, that was my problem.
I would say critique wise, I felt like in the last 3-4 minutes of the game and overtime, they didn't play to win.
No,
that's the only critique I would have from January.
What do you lose going for 2 in that situation? Your fans love it because it means you want to win this game, and I would trust my players enough to go get those 2 points. It's not you give another team opportunity is ridiculous. You have an opportunity right now to make a play and you don't make that play. That I do agree with you. That was a bad call by him. And then on that 4th and 1, even if you go for it, if you get it, game over. If you don't get it, they have a shorter field to work with. Even if they score, you still have time to at least get in field goal range. And with how that offense was moving, with 14 running those drag routes, there's no telling.
14 was a dog.
He's a dog. He's a dog. And then it's not just him either. I think number 2 is a dog on that team. Who's the other?
And the quarterback realized that he didn't early. He had a pick 6, and when he realized he didn't have to be a spectacular quarterback and he just hit his weapons.
Yeah.
I mean, 14 and a lot of their guys. I mean, they made plays.
6 was good. 6 was good too.
6 was good. Number 14 had like 15 catches, 16. It was something crazy.
10 of them had to be drags. But Shiloh Sanders, last point for me, he balled out. Saved multiple red zone possessions, not just takeaways in minus territory. He forced a fumble, had a pick 6. He's going to be special as well. I don't know how good he is in coverage particularly. I know he jumped that route, but yeah, that dude can hit. Like, he's a safety that you should want to get. He kind of gives me Tyrann Mathieu vibes as far as just his aggressiveness and how he can be a ball hawk. So I liked what I saw from Colorado.
Yeah, I like what I saw from Shiloh.
Yeah,
I did too. I like what I saw from him.
Excited for the Oregon game, but we can move on to Philly.
Yeah, we can move on from that game.
Philly. What do you think? because you said you had some opinions that you didn't want to share last Thursday night. So what
Yeah.
did you think about this game?
With the Philly game, I thought it was very interesting. Back-to-back games now, they have had pretty comfortable leads, and they've kind of let a team get back in it. And that might not be as dangerous against a Vikings or a Patriots, but I mean, you can't do that against certain teams like Mahomes and the Chiefs, or like there's a lot of things I see, and it's getting to the point with the Eagles is, like I said, I think it's a mindset thing. Like I think they have to keep their foot on the gas. I mean, they had an undefeated season going for a long time last season. I think the biggest thing for them is just like mentally staying locked in these games. Like you see, I mean, I want to say they went up 16-0 against the Patriots.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was going to be a blowout. Next thing I know, it's neck and neck game. And I think that a lot of that is mental. And also, like, I don't know, what do you have to say about the AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts argument? You think it's a big deal? No big
It's
deal?
not a big deal. It's not a big deal at
Yeah.
all. It's if you're an athlete, you know those disputes are going to come within. Me and you have had an argument on the basketball court, not just once,
100%.
not just twice. That happens, especially when you love somebody. You're going to express your frustrations, and that's a
Yeah.
good thing for this football team that he did that, because this offense isn't rolling right now. On AJ Brown's side of it, I don't know if I like it for him, because it's like you see Devontae Smith going off on the other side. Your team is winning. Let's save that frustration a little bit, but it does improve the sense of urgency for this offense. Who, going on to that, I'm not. And by the way, they're best friends supposedly. Don't really know if they're best friends, but that's what they say. So on that offensive side of the ball, not worried in the slightest. Those dudes will fight. AJ Brown got 2 touchdowns called back. It happens.
Yeah.
So with their passing game right now is not where it needs to be.
It's not.
That'll come. We have 4 games in a row right now that are kind of like, I don't want to say tune up, because these are still average, decent, good teams. We should win the next 4.
They're NFL teams.
Yeah. And when week 7 starts, that's when the stretch comes, and that's good for us. So offensively,
I mean, you want to be peaking towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
You want to be peaking towards the end.
And with DeAndre Swift, that dude's a dog. I think we all knew it. He just never stayed healthy. But behind this line, bro, I mean, it looked easy for him to run the ball. And then even after that, he made plays that other running backs wouldn't necessarily make all the time. Moving on to the defensive side of the ball, that's the part I'm worried about, because with the offensive side of the ball, it's coaching, getting a rhythm with a new offensive coordinator. With the defensive side of the ball, it's personnel. And we can't just go pick up multiple people. We had 2 rookie safeties, I believe, starting. We had a lot. Bradbury didn't play, our other star corner. Nakobe Dean, our person who's supposed to step in and be a great linebacker for us this year. Reed Blankenship, our starting safety. Avonte Maddox, nickel corner, who's been great for us for years. So when they get back, I'm not as worried, but that's really where we're falling off right now. We're giving up deep shots over the middle. It really does look easy for opposing offenses. And I was just watching the Dolphins game a couple minutes ago. Mac Jones does look good, so that makes me feel good about last week's game. Kirk Cousins, which we'll get onto the Vikings after this. Kirk Cousins looked good in this game as well. So I mean, when we get to those playoff games, and in the NFC, obviously, I'm not as worried. But there has been some good NFC QB performances, as far as Jared Goff has been playing great football.
Yeah, I like the Lions.
Yeah, Dak has been playing solid football. That won't last. Daniel Jones, actually, I watched that today. Daniel Jones is balling out, and not in the first half, but he balled out in that second half against the Cardinals.
Did they end up winning that game?
Yes, great job, Cardinals. It didn't look good, but Daniel Jones looked good in that second half. And then you got Geno Smith. I mean, you got all these guys, but I think Go ahead.
Nah, I just think, like you said, I think the biggest thing is the middle of that Eagles defense is a worry for me. I mean, linebacker wise. And with the AJ Brown thing, like you said, like athletes are going to have arguments, and especially with a leader like Jalen Hurts, I think they'll figure that out. It's more of, I think the Eagles, it's not even passing, just might not be and it can be like you said, rhythm. It's early. You can get a rhythm in passing, but there's pros and cons to the style of play that the Eagles have been playing with their passing game. Like the running game, you saw it with the Ravens when I think they lost 2 games that season, Lamar's MVP season. Like the only negative is that it might be harder to come back on teams, but the Eagles still have that passing threat in Devontae Smith, Goddard, and AJ Brown. But I think the Eagles will be fine. But if I keep seeing more like lack of strength on defense, unlike last year's team, which their defense was locked down, and I mean just all around they had a great team. I still would think the Eagles are the best team in NFC, but if they don't show some consistency, like you said, like probably about week 7, week 8, I'll probably still have them as the favorites, but I'll still have them as the best team in NFC, but I might take the field over them if that makes sense.
Yeah,
but yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah,
we can move on to the Vikings on that side of the ball. I mean, Kirk Cousins, great game. We're known. You're
empty
on our
calorie.
Yeah, you're on our tower of mid. You kind of moved up the tower of mid, not yet off the tower of mid, but you did great. Justin Jefferson. We kind of know what the Vikings are. I think we predicted this at the beginning of the season. They don't have enough juice right now. I mean, you saw what they had last year. Last year was a great season in the regular season. Like everyone knew they were frauds, but 13-4, that looks great on the stat sheet. And then to have a deflating loss like the Giants, and then not really do anything about it except for pick up Jordan Addison, which he had a touchdown in this game. He's a good addition.
And you lose Dalvin Cook.
Like there's not a lot of motivation to be great over there. It doesn't feel like it's not a lot of sense of urgency. So I don't know. I mean, they had fumbles. By the way, bro. Okay, this is kind of off topic, but we have to start prioritizing as fans, athletes' mental health. So Alexander Madison is a guy who has been good for that franchise for a while as a number 2 back. He steps into the number 1 back this year.
Yeah.
And he has 2 fumbles. It happens. I think every running back has had a game like that. And he's getting racist death threats in his DMs. Come on, guys.
That's bad. That's bad.
At the end of the day, bro, this is a game. These athletes have feelings. They're not just a helmet and pads. We have to lift these dudes up when they're down, because we can both say that we went through some tough times, have had bad games.
We've been glad to have people on our side, but we can only imagine what it would be like not having anybody. And just, I mean, you got to understand, like, these are people, like, they're just like you. They just happen to be just better than you at this point.
Exactly. And when we sit back, it's like we're lucky because we're high school athletes. No one's really going to come in and be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even say the stuff that was.
You might have a hater in your class, but it's like no one cares.
No one cares about that. But it's different when you look at these dudes like gods or like superstars, superheroes. Like everyone people think they could do whatever they want, and that's not cool at the end of the day. And I think that definitely. So hope Alexander Madison's doing well. Mentally, obviously, he'll bounce back. Vikings will have even more motivation after this, hopefully. But yeah, that's really all I can say. Obviously, the Vikings front seven look pretty weak.
I mean, the Vikings, I just don't, like you said, I just don't see any growth. I mean, they're gonna have some games where they might beat some teams that they're not better than, simply because Justin Jefferson might just go for 2-3 touchdowns, couple hundred yards. Like, I mean, that's just gonna happen. He's arguably one of the best receivers in the NFL. We can maybe do a list on that later in the season once we see how everybody's doing. But I mean, other than that, I don't see. I mean, I don't know. I'm not big on the Vikings.
I think Kirk Cousins. I think it's time to close that chapter of the Vikings organization, because you can get a lot for Kirk Cousins. You can get a lot for Kirk Cousins right now. I've seen teams. I saw 49ers play today. Brock Purdy doesn't look the best. I mean, he missed. Brock Purdy is going to get hyped up. I saw Shady McCoy, favorite running back of all time, the other day called Brock Purdy the second best quarterback in the NFC off of a Week 1 performance. Let's slow that down. He missed multiple throws today against the Rams. That dude. Yeah. I feel like if Kirk Cousins went to the 49ers, bro, that's a problem. If he goes to the Falcons, they're a problem. I know there's multiple other teams that could be named, but probably the Steelers. that may be a problem, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Other than that, with the Vikings, it's not a lot left. I don't see them necessarily bouncing back. I think that's the Lions after today's games. I think that's the Lions division to lose. We'll talk about the Lions more on our week 1 review or week 2 review.
Week 2 review, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, shout out to Shadur in Colorado, and hopefully Travis Hunt is all right, and go Birds.
Yeah. Nah. Hey, I have a lot to say on the Ravens in that week 2 review, but that's pretty much all we have for y'all for today, though.
All right. Well, keep commenting those hot takes, and yeah, peace out.